All right. Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And we are here once again. We're going to get right into it. As you see in the title, when the prophet stopped speaking, okay, which is a time that's coming up pretty soon. I was watching a video that was done by the elder brother Amawang Gabar from the New York main camp. And he was doing a response to a comment that a sister had left about, I believe, her daughter or so, who had a dream that Apostle Tahar did a video saying that that was going to be his last video. And, as he gave his spiritual take on it, which I agree with, about obviously not in the sense of Apostle Tahar saying like, all right, I'm done, I'm taking a break, but more so, like being a signifier, right? Because sometimes dreams are not direct, right? They're symbolic, right? And so if Apostle Tahar is the head that the Lord has placed on here, and the scriptures mention as the leader is, so as people, roughly paraphrasing, right? That would be symbolic for the famine of the word, right? So the Lord sometimes shows visions like that, but that's one take on it. And so off that energy, right? When the prophet stops speaking, it's interesting because that's when people are going to desire to hear the words of the Lord. Because in most cases, people are comfortable as they are right now, right? They love the benefits that they live in, even though it's off, and it's really perverse. They've been conditioned to like it so. And so they don't see a need to hear the words of the Heavenly Father. To them, it makes no difference whether they hear his words or whether they don't. Because how is that affecting their life? And that's from a state of ignorance, right? That they think that way. It isn't until they're in trouble that then they want to be godly, right? Then they want to be holy. Then they want to, they want to live a good life. But that's why when these prophecies start to unfold, that's when people are going to run seeking this word. Because everything that we've been telling you of is going to happen. You have some people that are seeing it early, and they're making mention like, yo, these things that these prophets were talking about, as crazy as it may have sounded back then, it's making sense now, and when the Lord starts to pick things up, it's going to be like simultaneous, right? As he's escalating things, he's moving his prophets out the way, right? Hiding them and leaving you out there to fend for yourself. Okay, it's like when the test starts and they say, okay, put your notebooks away, put everything away, and then let's go. Only a pencil on the table. And that at that point is going to show you, okay, who is actually studying and taking advantage of that grace period and that mercy to get right. So let's start with Ezekiel 30 and 33, and also we can get Amos 5 and 11. The famine of the word. 5 and 11 or 8:11? 8:11. Oh, you can bring it up. Yeah.
This is Amos chapter 8, verse 11. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord God, that I will send a famine in the land.
Right, so the Lord said he's going to send a famine in the land. Now, most people, when they hear famine, they think of food. But the Lord here, as we're about to read, is going to clarify that he's not talking about a famine of food, of not having food to eat. Right, go ahead.
That I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord.
No, 33 and 30. Okay. But as it says, right, so the Lord is saying he's not going to send a famine of food, even though that's going to happen as well. What he is saying here in Amos 8 and 11 is specifically this famine I'm talking about isn't your typical famine of not having food to eat or water to drink, which most cases in the famine, it's not that food just ceases to exist, but due to some condition or some situation, you don't get access to it, okay? Or your access to it is very limited. So the Lord is saying here, he's going to liken that onto hearing the word, hearing his word. Got it?
Yeah, I just want to bring this on. Different translations, amplified. There's a certain word here. It says, behold, the days are coming, says the Lord God. This is Amos 8 and 11 in the amplified. When I will send a hunger over the land, not hunger for bread or a thirst for water, but rather a hunger for hearing the words of the Lord. When you get hungry, it is something that you want. It's like, here in America, you have access to a lot of food. So what? People, yeah. So when you have a hunger for something, that means what? That you're starved for something, that you really are craving something. Your body needs something. You're not eating just to eat, but you're eating because your body really needs it. And this word is likened unto bread. This word is likened unto water. So in the days coming, people are going to what? They're going to hunger for hearing the word of the Lord. I believe it's in what says the Second Chronicles.
36:16.
Yeah, I'm just bringing up this point.
Sure, we got it. We got that on deck.
Oh, okay. Right. So this is the opposite, right? This is what our people didn't take advantage of. So this is Second Chronicles chapter 36 and verse 15. And the Lord God of their fathers sent to them by his messengers, rising up betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. So this is compassion that the Lord is showing by having us come out here, day in and day out, doing videos, week in and week out, coming out and here doing these lessons. Verse 16, but they mock the messengers of God and despise his words. Right. When you come out here and don't listen to us, you're not really coming out here and not really listening to us. You're really despising the words of the Heavenly Father, because we didn't come out here because we like our own energy or anything on that. We're coming out here because the Spirit is making us to come out here. Right. So when you despise our words, you're really despising the message of the King, because we're the messengers, like it says, and we have a message from the King. And if you're despising the message of the King, well, then it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess it's part of my language. Okay, so I guess it's fuck me, right? Okay, so all right, at that point, well, fuck you too then. Right. Verse 16, but they mocked the messengers of God and despised his words and misused his prophets until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people till there was no remedy. So when the Lord brings his wrath, there's not going to be an answer or a remedy or a fix for the wrath of the Lord. No, you're going to have to feel. There's a saying. I didn't get a chance to bring it out last night. I forgot to. But when we did the live, there's a saying, and it comes from Jamaica, pretty much Benjamin. The saying is in American, he who can't hear will feel. But when you say, like how Jamaicans say, who can't hear will feel. So who doesn't hear? And that's the same thing that's iterated in Second Ezra, the 9th chapter. Those that matter of fact, I may get a comment. Yeah. But basically, who can't hear anything? If you're not going to listen, well, you're going to have to feel. And that's the thing that our people had to come upon them. They want to mock the message. They didn't want to listen. They want to walk by, take it as nothing. So, okay, you didn't want to hear when I want to talk to you. So, okay, you're going to have to feel the wrath then. But y'all get that, isn't it?
And that's the thing, when the wrath comes, they're not going to want to feel it. But they ain't going to have a choice. You see, the Lord's going to take away that choice and that option, and it's going to be an involuntary ass whooping. Like, you have, what parent, I mean, Edomites probably would do it, but if you live in a Jig household, ass whoopings are not voluntary, okay? You're going to get your ass beat if you don't do what you're supposed to do. Got it.
This is 2 Ezra chapter 9 and verse 9. Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. And that's going to people that didn't want to take heed to the word, that thought it was foolish, that thought this was just like some type of phase, or this is just some another movement or whatever. It'll go on and then it'll die out. No. Verse 10, for such as in their life have received benefits have not known me, and they that have loathed my law while they yet had liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them. So this is a moment where you can come and repent and turn back unto the Lord. Understood not, but despised it. Verse 12 is the point. The same must know it after death by pain. So again, that they call it a Jamaican proverb. Who can't hear must feel. Seeing as how you didn't want to hear the word, you got to feel. And that's what you're going to feel. The words, the prophecies, Isaiah 13, going to Ezekiel, all those type of things where it talks about the Lord bringing the wrath. You didn't want to hear the message and repent, so you got to feel it then.
What it's going to feel like is hollow tip bullets, okay? Hunger. What's interesting? One thing I started to think about is, I think one of the reasons why people here, especially in Babylon, don't fear things like famine, or don't take things like famine and disaster and all. They don't take some of these things seriously because they've never really experienced it before. A lot of people a lot of people in America haven't experienced like severe hunger, right, on an extended period of time. Because the second they get hungry, they go and eat. And that's why they're so big. Okay, but the second they get hungry, they go and eat. So they haven't had to go through a time when you're hungry and it's not up to you whether you get to eat or not. Okay, and they don't fast to even get their body into a state where it can experience something like that and know how to behave in a situation like that, or even help preserve you longer. Their bodies don't know that. So as far as they know, whenever they're hungry, they turn hangry, and then they're quick to run to the store or order something. Or that's why majority of people you see when they're walking around, they got one of two things in their phones: some drink, either from Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks, or some coffee or something of that sort, and then their phone. Okay, that's majority of them. They always got something to eat. Okay, and that's why most of the stores you see when you drive around are food stores. Okay, it's a deli, it's a grocery store. It's a store that specializes in one kind of food. There's food stores. If you go on a map, you go on Yelp, majority of the stores you'll see around are food. Okay, food. So when the Lord brings a famine, somebody who has actually experienced a long period of time without eating understands how dreadful, painful, and dangerous a situation like that is. Okay, but people who have not had to deal with that, they don't understand the severity of it. And so when you tell them about it, it's like, yeah, whatever. I don't really even know what you're talking about anyway. Like, I hear about it, but some people don't even know the definition of famine.
And sometimes I'll be asking people, how long can you go without food? And a lot of the answers are like 2-3 hours.
Shit.
So if you can only go 2-3 hours without food and you have to eat after that, then imagine a whole day.
That's why they're going to be so quick to become cannibals.
Hey, Shalom, Akim. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Brakatham. Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, God.
God, beautiful. I got a quick precept to back you up. But before I do so, something that you were saying that just kind of sparked a thought in my mind, which is ultimately all of humanity, right? When you go to the ancient civilizations and you study up on them, they all had a similar theme or a common theme, which is we need to get to a place, or we need to settle in a location where water and food will be readily available, right? You go to the ancient civilizations, they always settled around riverbanks or somewhere close to water so that they could use that water to grow their crops, right, which is food, and also to water their animals, which is also food, right, a source of food, and so on and so forth. So when you go to different countries, right, different countries still have the ability to cultivate the land and actually live off of the land directly. When you come here to this corporation, which is not a country, it's a corporation. That's what America is. All right. America is a corporation, meaning everything that they do has to result in money making. All right. It's a business. All right. That's why it goes, I believe, in the book of, I want to say the book of Nahum. It talks about the traffic, and I think Ezekiel talks about the traffic, and Nahum talks about the prancing horses, and basically the busyness, right? That's where you get the word business, the busyness of America's society, right? Now, most people don't really sit back, especially those who live in the cities, the inner cities. They don't sit back and think and say, yo, we depend so much on this system where anything that we need, we actually have to go and purchase. Our very survival has gone from living off of the land, understanding how trees and plants work, seeds, herbs, fruits, vegetables, all these different things, the medicinal purposes of them, all these different things. People have no idea what they are. If they came to an apple tree without any fruits on it, they wouldn't even know that this is an apple tree, because they're so used to going to a grocery store to pick up everything. And Esau did that by design. No longer are you walking in the street where you see an apple tree and you can just pluck it off and eat. Like if you were to go to a different country, like let's say you go to Colombia or Ghana or whatever, as you're walking through the streets, you're going to see papaya trees. You could just pluck it and eat, right? You see some of them, the fruits are so overly grown and ready to be, they're so ripe that they rot on the tree. Some of them fall on the ground and rot because nobody's eating it. It's there, it's in abundance. But over here, you don't see that. You don't go to New York City and then you see a damn coconut tree just standing there. You'd be like, oh, let me just climb this coconut tree and pluck a coconut and drink the water of it and eat the food inside of it. You're not going to do that, right? If you want watermelons, you're going to wait till watermelon season, go to the grocery store and pick up some shit called seedless watermelons. That's how wicked this shit is, right? And people don't even think about these things like, yo, we depend on such a system that has literally taken away our ability to eat off of the land. And now we got to come to grocery stores to get food to eat, medicine, all these different things. So you're literally relying and depending on a system that doesn't care about you. So now you fast forward to 2025, entering into 2026, where you're seeing all these tariffs kicking in, right? You're seeing all these, basically your basic means of survival is under attack, all right, by your very federal government. Boy, if you don't keep it down over there, man, all right, I'm busy, right? You have that going on. Every single major city has the same exact thing going on, right? And people are not putting 2 and 2 together to say, hold on, once the grocery stores are done and there ain't no food there, we are royally screwed. And that would royally screwed means you're going to be brought back to primitive times. Just like you go to the what's it called, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You have the basic needs, which is food, water, shelter, so on and so forth. And the next thing becomes relationships to build family. And the next thing becomes, trying to establish something that maintains your family and yourself, sexual and all these different things. And then eventually you get to a place where it becomes self-actualization, which is you've gotten everything you need. You don't need anything else. So you're just living at that point, right? The system is bringing everything back down to that basic primitive needs of food and water. That's why Revelation 13 and 16 is written and it says, no man might buy or sell, because you can't just go and make your own food in the woods somewhere. You can't do that. And then if you were thinking, oh, I'm just going to be a survivor, I'm going to go get my own gun and go live in the woods and then hunt down deer. Guess what, nigga? They done fucked up the deer. So the deer got all kinds of diseases. Do you really want to eat that shit now, nigga? Huh? Do you want to do that? I don't think so. Right? So they've literally, it's like a siege. They're breaking down your surroundings and then locking you in. And then once you're locked in and when you realize that you're locked in, you're going to want to get out automatically. That's when the troops are there to say, hey, stay indoors. We're going to keep everything safe out here now. So it's going to be very hostile very quickly. And what makes people very much more hostile is when they're hungry. That's what you said. You become hangry. Americans are trained to not go without food for too long. So Esau is using that training against you to say, oh, I know you're not going to go too long without food. So if I take all the food away from you and say the only way you can get food is by taking the seed here, people will do it because they're not used to being uncomfortable. And that's why the truth is very important, because not only does it teach us how to survive, but it teaches us how to look at things above the flesh. We're not so into the flesh like, okay, well, shit, nigga, I could go a week without food and water. I'll be all right because the Lord will sustain me. And you're going to be there like, damn, this is the strongest I've ever felt in my life, right? Because the Lord is sustaining you, right? But the people in this world, America, all these different states, different countries, they don't have that ability to say, oh, the Lord is going to sustain me. So they're going to run down to Egypt for help, and Egypt is not going to be able to help you, man. Then what? Okay, quick precept. This is a book of Romans chapter 3 and verse 3. It says, for what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect? Right? So just because you don't believe that a storm is coming doesn't mean the storm doesn't come. Your disbelief does not change the facts from being the facts, right? Oh, I don't believe it. You don't, look, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. The only thing it does is it just makes you weaker. When the troubles come, you're going to face it the hardest. That's all. That's all it does, because your mind is not prepared for it. See, that's when you're going to have women killing their babies for food because they didn't anticipate that it's going to be that bad for that long. See what I'm saying? You got people who may be prepping right now, but if the Lord is not going to sustain you, all that prep is for nothing. Okay? So just keep that in mind. It says, verse 4, the Most High forbid, yea, let the Most High be true, meaning all the prophecies are going to come to pass. As is written, they are faithful and they're true. Okay? Meaning they will come to pass as is written. All right? So when we speak about these prophecies, we're very confident in it because it's written that it will come to pass in this last generation. And you notice that this generation, I call them the YNG, the young nigga generation. You notice a lot of them are very young when they're committing a lot of these crimes. Because it used to be older people committing these kinds of crimes. Now it's gone all the way down to early teenage years. So young. They're so young alike. They're so young in their ages when they're committing these adult crimes that it's like, yo, this generation is really the last generation. The Lord done gone through from top to bottom. He's at the bottom right now. The Gen Z, so-called. So you know this is the end where the Lord is going to come back, man. All right, he has to come back. Because if not, it's going to recycle. And then the next recycle is going to be worse than this one. You know, how much worse can it be? Think about that. You see what I'm saying? It says, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings and mightest overcome when thou art judged. Okay? So ultimately, just like Daniel overcame when he was judged, just like Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego was justified when they were judged. All these different men, right? Even Yahushua, he was justified when he was being put to death. All these different things, the men of the Lord are going to go through the same thing. Okay? And we're going to come back, we're going to come out prosperous, man. All right? Because it's ordained for that to happen. All right? But you got it, bros.
At this point, Amos 6:1. Woe to them that are at ease in Zion and trust in the mountain of Samaria, which are named chief of the nations to whom the house of Israel came. But basically, woe meaning destruction unto those of you of the house of Israel, because Zion represents, could represent Jerusalem, but also Israel as a whole, the nation of Israel. All right, woe unto you that are at ease, man. Right, you're in a comfortable position. You want to kick your feet up, especially a lot of these leaders, man. Okay, because it says to whom the house of Israel came, and back then it will go to the leaders, for guidance, for support, what have you. These celebrity jakes are not going to be able to help you. All right, LeBron James ain't going to be looking for you, simple-minded jakes, his fans, his so-called black supporters. He's not going to be looking for y'all in that day. Okay. The Jay-Z and all of them, Beyonce, they're not going to be looking and say, oh, how can we help? They talk about the so-called black community a lot. They're not going to be looking to help you because they're at ease. And you think that because, you see some jakes that made it, that might have some money, you think that you're at ease. But you're going to see in that day, you're not going to see them no more. Those people are going to disappear. Okay, they're going to either be hiding away in a bunker or they're going to try to secure their own family. And you jakes are going to be left out here to the wolves, man. But woe unto you that are at ease, man. All right, and this scripture, it's basically saying that comfort, and this is talking about a worldly comfort, can be a deadly thing. Worldly comfort and being complacent, all right, is a terrible thing, and it's a dangerous thing. All right, and you're going to see when Jacob's trouble goes full forth, when these troops start really coming down, okay, up 125th, they already talking about in Chicago bringing troops. And now where do you think they coming next? New York. Okay. And what do they know that we don't know? Because they already know economic instability is here and it's going to get worse. AI is taking everybody's job. So now people are coming to the realization that you don't fit into this NWO. You don't fit into the New World Order. You don't fit into the elite's plans of what they want to do. Okay, you're just a useless eater, and they used you for a bit, and now they're getting ready to cast you away. Okay, now they're getting ready to cast you away. And then the only way you could be a part of this man's system is if you consent to being basically a cyborg, a transhuman.
Got it. And I got a precept to back up what you were saying, because you mentioned something like people like LeBron James, who they won't be able to help you or save you. And the scriptures tell you that riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. And the thing is, when people see these celebrities, they confuse fame for wisdom, right? They think that just because somebody is well known, it means that, all of a sudden they are this like great person, but they're really well known for something, right? And that thing is not wisdom. LeBron James is not well known because he's such a wise guy, right? So that's why oftentimes these celebrities, you ask them for words of wisdom, and they tell you some straight BS. You're like, what the fuck? But people will extol that to the clouds because it's coming from the mouth of a celebrity. That's why these new sayings and catchphrases come out, and they make absolutely no sense, and yet they become the language of the land. No cap. Sure, that came from a rap or something somewhere, right? But it makes no sense because there's no correlation to what it's supposed to mean. And that's why people get confused when they first hear it. So people are going to find out real soon that, when you look up to these celebrities over here and you expect them in that time to give you some form of guidance or leadership and all that, they can't do that. And sometimes when you hear them speak, you're like, yo, this guy really doesn't know much. He just knows how to do whatever it is he's doing, whether it's playing basketball or fighting, all right, or whatever, being a comedian. Why would you think a comedian is some of these comedians, they know, right? And they include this knowledge and this truth in their comedy, but a lot of them are getting canceled because of that. So this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 13.
Before you
What?
bring that out, you mentioned something about LeBron not being wise and shit. Him specifically, we know he's not wise. You know why? Because he's the type of nigga that, yo, how many times has he been caught on the same page of a book talking about he reading a book? Ask him, how many books have you read, bro? And he gonna be on the same page. And then they ask him, what's your? Oh, I read this book, Malcolm X. They ask him, oh, what are certain things that you took from the book? He was a very great man. Great things, great understanding. That's all he says. Niggas a dumbass, bro. And that's why they use him so much for all this dumbass fuckery. But I just wanted to tap in there with that one, that him specifically, he's not the brightest. You don't want to take no advice from a nigga called LeBron James.
That's it. That's it. So this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 13, verse 22. When a rich man is fallen, he hath many helpers. He speaketh things not to be spoken, yet men justify him. Right? And one example was Trump. Trump is a great example. He can come on and say the most outlandish things, and they go and justify him. Because when it says a rich man here, the reason they justify rich men is because they have power. And power in this world is dictated by your financial status. So that's why they can come out and they can be caught saying the craziest, most outlandish things, but it's just going to be swept under the rug because they have riches, they have money. So as it says here, yet men justify him. The poor man slipped, and yet they rebuke him too. So you may slip up, you may accidentally say something, or they may misunderstand what you say, and all of a sudden, who the hell are you to talk? Why is your mouth open? Matter of fact, why are you even breathing? Go get this guy. Right? So then they did now the cancel culture jumps on you. But cancel culture won't ever go after these pedophilic popes. Why wouldn't they go after them? It says here, I got you, bro. It says he spake wisely and could have no place. And right now we're an example of that in that stead. Because people don't make a place to hear the words of wisdom that are coming from the Lord through us as vessels. But if there was somebody like these mayors and these quote unquote celebrities, if they said this guy Kai Cenat, he said he was pulling up to wherever, I forgot, downtown somewhere, and damn near the whole freaking state ran over there for what? When you watch this guy's streams, what exactly do you learn from this guy's streams? He says basically nothing, overreacts to everything, and all of a sudden, oh shit, this guy. But that goes to show you, as the scriptures say, folly is set in great dignity. So that is what people desire. That's what they look up to, folly. And those that excel at folly are looked at as, the famous ones. Right? Verse 23, when a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he saith, they extol it to the clouds. But if the poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this? And if he stumble, they will help to overthrow him. So the point is going to show you that this is a society full of respecter of persons. People don't actually desire to hear words of wisdom. They just want to hear words of a rich man or words of a man in a high position. So going back to the point that I sure made, when all hell breaks loose, you think that by running into somebody who's famous, somebody who's an idol, I always looked up to you and whatnot, and they show you that in the TV show The Boys, you think that by running into them, they are the persona that they show on the media. That's what you think. You think, this guy's like, he's so dope, man. I can't believe I'm finally meeting you. And then you're like, you actually see the man, right, behind the mirror or behind the black mirror, and you're like, this guy's an asshole, or this guy really ain't nothing special. He's a kind of person who in the world, I would not be around this person. I would not hang out with this person. He's really a weirdo. But people don't really see that because all you see is the persona that they put on the screen. And he's famous and yada yada. But a lot of these famous people they're really just a bunch of nobodies. They don't have character. There's nothing to them. You spend the day with your favorite celebrity, you find out what why the hell is this guy even famous? What is he worth? I didn't learn shit. All he wants to do is the same thing that niggas on the block would do. He's famous. That's the only difference. He just has money. But is he spend it on anything that's to improve himself or to make himself better? No. So when all hell breaks loose, you run into somebody like this thinking, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna follow whatever he says. This guy's gonna lead you to your downfall. He's gonna be the first to throw your ass under the bus to save his own skin. And that's why the Lord is gonna set up that time of Jacob's trouble. And that's why the scriptures say that, because your status and your position in this world is not gonna mean a damn thing. When you're faced with life and death, you need somebody to make a decision. And if you can't make a decision, it doesn't matter who it is. If you can't make a decision, then that's it. You cook. Got it, bro.
Yeah, man. I'm just gonna bring out that most people with celebrity status, they mainly are soulless. They don't have no spiritual backing of no following that they have ain't got nothing to do with spirituality or who they is as a person spiritually. No. So the script I was gonna bring out is Mark 3:6.
Oh, it's a lot. While you get that, what just came to mind, a good example was Agrippa. I think it was Agrippa the first, who I think it might have been Agrippa, but it was one of the Herodians who they basically spoke, and they basically said, oh, is the voice of a god. And so the Most High smote him right then and there. Got it.
Yeah, I have to come back to y'all in precept, but yeah, man, they spiritual, man. I mean, they spiritless because majority of them have these personal cases or their stories on the news, and when they're giving an interview of their life, it'd be strife, man. It'd be hell. They got all these millions of dollars, but they, live in a world where they deal with depression or, fight against demons, man. But the precept pretty much is saying, oh, but what does a man gain the world but lose his soul?
Right.
Right? So you gain all of that abundance in life, physical materials, but you don't have nothing spiritually built up, These people going out with no family, all right? Leaving their millions of dollars to a damn dog or something. They don't even have family to give it, or they don't even have a heart to give the money back to the people of the world. They'll die with their billions. Give it to something that don't make no sense, But they lose their soul, man, gaining all the riches and the fame in this world. Their following be a great folly. Right? Everything that they do, and they get a strong following behind it. People chasing behind the greatest, the newest dance, or the dumbest challenge. Those things are folly, man. That's it.
Yeah, to give an example of what the brother's talking about is Bruce Willis. Now, if you ever looked up Bruce Willis and some of the movies that he's been in, like them Die Hards and things like that, some Die Hard movies that he's been in, the character that he plays is like a charismatic, wild kind of character. He's even like in the movies, one of the movies they call him like the cowboy, like the American cowboy. But if you look at Bruce Willis now, you look at through his years, the movies that he's been in, like, damn, this is a great guy, man. But you're falling in love with really essentially the character that he portrays on the movie. It's the same thing. Like, I'll use another example. What's his name? Like, for me at least, I remember these people from at least the movies that they acted. I don't entirely know their names because I have to then look it up. Neo. I always forget his name, but the actor that played. There we go. Yeah, the actor. Well, Keanu Reeves. There you go. You love Neo. You don't really love Keanu Reeves. You really like Neo because of who he plays and how he plays him on the movie. Same thing with Bruce Willis. You like Bruce Willis when he's playing, I think it's like Detective John McClane, and he's in them Die Hard movies. When you really find out about the guy and find out who he is, you find out that he's just a normal guy. Another example, like the brother brought out with The Boys is a perfect example to show you that the people that you look up to on the back end, like one character, for example, Deep, the guy who's like Aquaman. That guy is don't get twisted. What's his name? Homelander shit too. But the Deep is a weird, freaky guy. But on the TV, the persona that he has to play, the public image, you see, this great guy, Deep, man, he's cool. But really, that's a freaky dude. But it's the same thing with a lot of these people. When you watch their movies, you fall in love with the charismatic character that they play, whether it be Neo, John McClane, whoever it be. But if you were to really find out about him, you'd be like, yo, this guy's a weirdo. There ain't really too much to him. It's like, who is this guy? And then when you see it like now, Bruce Willis, I think he has like some type of dementia to where it's like his brain is like rotting away or something, or he's like losing his memory. It's like, for all those years that you knew him as this great actor and things like that, but now look at the end of him. Now he's just rotting away. It's like, I think it's like he's like around people, but like he doesn't know that this is his wife or his daughter. So like they're trying to help him out and say, "Hey, dad," but it's like he doesn't know them. It's like he's almost like a vegetable. He's just lifeless. He's like he'll smile at you, but he's just like
I think it's called brain disease.
crazy.
It's not, you can't speak, you can't really his brain function.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because he's just like looking at people, but he don't recognize nobody according to the diagnosis that they put out there. So it's like, just I brought up Bruce Willis because like people look at them like, oh, Bruce Willis is a great guy, but it's like he's a great guy because he fell in love with the character or the characters that he played with, not because he himself is a great guy. When you go watch these movies and things, you're falling in love with the character that they're portraying on the TV or on the movie, not him himself.
But that's when they're gonna bring in the Neuralink to fix cases like that, you know, and then that, because that's gonna be like a miracle in the sight of the people. But also an example was in Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, what's her name? I say Daenerys. Damn, what's the main chick's name? Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra, she plays when she grows up. The actor plays like a feminine woman, right? And so on and so forth. But in actuality, the actors like you know, in real life, they're like a kind of like a dyke. You know, like they play that, like they look like that manly type shit, short hair and shit. Yeah, she got short hair. I'm like, fuck, how you got long hair in the show? You got short hair in real life. So you look at some of these actors, you know, you'll look at them in like a show or a movie, and they act mad feminine. You know, like a submissive woman. You're like, damn, yo, that's a fine chick. You go and look them up in real life, and you like, what the hell is this demonic shit? You know, you check on their IG, and you're like, yo, this, all of them happen to look, they lost 20 pounds. They look skinny as hell. They post these weird pictures dressed in these weird attires, you know, some dark symbolism and shit on their pages. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, yo, that's not who you thought it was. But that's the whole point. The movies that you watch, they're not real. It's just lore, you know, to basically get you to, you know, fantasize and or indulge in the fantasy that they're trying to push upon you. But in real life, that's not the case. And that's where a lot of people are gonna go wrong when real life hits them. They're gonna think that they're living in a movie of some shit. You know, oh yeah, well in the movies I saw them, they did this one time. You try it in real life, it doesn't work that way. You know why? Because movies abstract a lot of reality out of things. In a movie, you'll see a person, they'll go, they're really hungry, they're in the woods, they're in the cavern somewhere, and then they pray, they open their door and there's a deer over there. And then the next scene is they're the next day and they got food in the fridge and shit. But the movie abstracts the whole, well, there's a deer over there, but you got to catch the deer. You got to kill the deer. You got to skin the deer. You got to cook the deer. You got to do all of these things. How you going to do that? You got to start a fire. You got to, and they don't show any of those things. So, and people watch that and they'll think, oh, I just got to find a deer. Okay, but then you never thought about what happens after you find a deer? People can't even kill a deer. They can't even kill a chicken. They don't even know how to kill a chicken. You know? A lot of these things people don't know, like Haran was saying, because there's some people that just think that chicken, as when they think of chicken, they just think of drumsticks, right? And they can't correlate, they can't see the actual live chicken and then the drumstick. They don't know how it gets there. They just know that chicken is where they go and they see the Purdue bag and then they pick it up and they put it in their cart and they go home and throw it in a pressure cooker somewhere and then boom. Sometimes that's too much work for them. So they'll just actually order pre-made prepared chicken. So they can't even prepare the actual pre-prepared food that says like freaking warm in the microwave for 2 minutes. They can't do that. They want it to be warmed up already for them. And that's why when all hell breaks loose, when the prophet stops speaking, these people are going to completely lose it. It's funny. The Lord plugged your ears as we're giving you the how-tos and the things you should do. And now when you get plunged into the deep end, you don't know how to swim. You don't know how to do nothing because you weren't paying attention. You were distracted by the carnal things of this world that lead to nothing. All the things people aspire to do in this world are going to lead to nothing. You got AI over here about to steal all your jobs. So you're working hard for what? They just want you to be a slave that's obedient. You don't ask questions. You don't think for yourself. Let the AI think for you. You're just going to be a consciousness just sitting there in autopilot, And the AI is controlling everything you do, how you think, what you should do, yada yada, and then that's it. That's it. That's all they want. That's it.
Yeah, I had a precept.
Mhm.
I got two of them in Jude.
Mhm.
Jude 1 and 16. These are murmurers, complainers, walking after their own lusts. In their mouth speaketh great swelling words, having men's persons in admiration because of advantage. Referencing what we just spoke about earlier about, respected persons and certain people. Jake get around certain people and they have money and they just kiss their ass, man. And it says because of advantage. Because why? They think they're going to get something out of it.
Right.
Oh, you have money. So if I kiss your ass enough, maybe I can get some of that bread that you got. Maybe I can get a piece of that pie. Right? So that's how they look at it. So Jake will have, again, it says, having men's person in admiration. There's no other reason to admire this man other than the fact that he has money. And you don't even know what he had to do to actually acquire it.
Right.
You don't have the behind the scenes to see what went on for him to get to this lofty position. And when you find out, which a lot of it is being exposed now about Epstein, different, so-called theories or whatever about what happened, but he broke his neck. Like, I'm speaking a different language. But, all these things are coming out about what these Jakes got to do in order to get to these positions, man. And they got to bend over, all right? Or they got to sacrifice somebody in their family, okay? Or they got to put on that dress and that wig and that lipstick, all right? And that's what they got to do, man. That's why earlier in this, I'm gonna jump up a few verses actually.
Like before you get there, I actually saw a quick clip where, like, we were talking about it at camp, right? But you actually had people doing videos on it about how the new YNs resemble what they show in the Boondocks, where Riley was wearing the female attire and shit. They put the thumbnail side by side, basically, because they saw it too.
Gangster rap, all of that, and then they took you from being a hardcore thug, and now they flipped it.
Softcore thug.
Nothing but confusion, man. Ice Cube was a creation of Edomites. Who you think is the ones? I think was one of the names was Jerry Heller. All these different executives behind them, pushing them. You don't get on Esau's television. He owns the media. You think you don't get up there and you just pushing the message that he doesn't want to have out there? There was a time where rap was a little more conscious, right? But even then, they had all types of bugged out doctrines. But at least it wasn't as bad as it is now. But they went and they formulated these individuals, and then look at the degradation of our people. Look at how they became degenerate based off of that gangster rap, being a thug. And thugs are the biggest simps, and we find that out now. You a hardcore Hoover Crip, but you like to get pegged, right? That's black culture, though. That's common. You see, and that's an example. Like you said, spend a day with a celebrity. Imagine spending a day with that nigga.
Oh no.
You know what I'm saying? I was watching an old video, well, not old, but recently Elder Ariala from Dallas had done about how the dude, Al-Azhar, was talking about how, it's 2 or 3 witnesses. You didn't accuse me properly because it's 2 or 3 witnesses. But when Achan had the Babylonian garment, the Lord just revealed it to Joshua. They didn't need no 2 or 3 witnesses. Sometimes the Spirit reveals things, man. You see? He said he probably got, like, he had the Babylonian garment. This dude probably got a pegging kit in his tent, hidden in the back. You know? A nasty freak, man. But again, that's an example. I'm only bringing it out. I want to talk about this nigga ad nauseum, but I'm only bringing it up to drill the point that there's a surface level, and then there's what happens behind the scenes. Okay? This is Jude 1 and 8. Likewise, also these filthy dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominion, and speak evil of dignity. So a filthy dreamer. So somebody that's according to their own lust and their own mind of what they want to happen, but they're not according to the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. They're not according to the doctrine, which is an orderly, which is a proper and a righteous doctrine. Okay? And what do? They despise dominion and they speak evil of dignity. The main dominion that they despise is the Lord's dominion. And also his dominion comes through his men. Okay, because he's speaking through his mouthpiece. So you despise the Lord, you despise the Heavenly Father, you despise his Son, you despise the Holy Spirit, and you despise the men that have the Holy Spirit. So what's the end of that? A Sodom and Gomorrah judgment.
There's no deliverance for you out of that. Get that real quick.
This is book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9 and 16. And it reads, Then said I, wisdom is better than strength,
Wisdom is better than strength because you could be the strongest person. How many times have you seen somebody that's like super strong, but then they get deceived or they get misled, and then they use their strength for the wrong thing, and then they end up getting cooked. That's a lot. A lot of super villains. When they show you, yeah, like Joker, for example, a lot of these super villains, they don't necessarily have to have power, because if you deal with somebody like Doomsday, right? Doomsday is like a monster, but his power is in his strength. And if there's somebody that's stronger, he's cooked. That's it. But when you have somebody that applies wisdom, those are the villains that you see. They go on forever and ever and ever. It's like this nigga never don't. He never die because he plans everything. Yeah, like Luthor or Joker.
Brainiac.
Brainiac. The Magneto. And it's just like everything you do, you fall into his trap. So he doesn't even need to exert energy. He just needs to get you to believe something. Like a perfect example is even though I don't consider him the villain of the movie, Law-Abiding Citizen. That's a perfect movie, and exactly what the guy did. How he was misleading them, he giving them throwing red herrings over here and so on and so forth. That's what these villains do. And they get you every single time, and that's the wise way. So that's why, as King Solomon said here, wisdom is better than strength. That's why the Lord gave us wisdom, not super strength. God.
Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised.
Nevertheless, so even regardless of that, the poor man's wisdom is despised. You know why? Because people they judge according to the outward appearance. In their minds, they think, well, if you look a certain way, there's no way that whatever's going to come out of your mouth is going to be of any importance, right? And so because of that, they don't even listen. Or when they listen, their mind is already geared towards the fact that what you're saying is whatever they think it's going to be. So even if it makes sense, they won't consider it to be like that. That's the power of the perception. Because, sometimes before you watch a video, me personally, I don't like to be told certain things, because when you watch certain videos and there's a caption, I was talking to Haran about this. When there's a caption, it influences how you see whatever it is you're about to see. Okay? When they put viewer discretion is advised, in your mind, you're prepared to see something crazy, right? When they put, damn, this dude completely lost his ankles, and all he did was just like take, stutter step after the person crossed him over, it's gonna feel like, oh damn, they really cooked him, but then no, he really didn't cook him. He just did a little stutter step. But because the caption said he lost his ankles, your brain is already trying to see it in the same way the caption put it. So and that's what Esau masters when he throws out these labels. He'll pick a label, he'll categorize you, he'll demonize the label, right? Throw some stigmas on there, and then he'll throw the label on you. So before anybody even interacts with you, they already have a perception that anything you're going to say is going to be aligned with that label. Oh, they're black supremacists. I got you. They're black supremacists. So no matter what they say, it's going to be some black supremacist rhetoric. So the second you start making sense, they're going to psych themselves out and say, nah, he's just using that black supremacist rhetoric on me and shit. And that's all they're going to think about, even though what you're saying makes absolutely 100% sense.
Hey, just to add to your point, bro, that's why they call it the narrative. The narrative. Like, what was the narrative? And when we talk about a lot of what Esau's doing, we talk about the narrative. When you deal with like a play, for example, the narrator, he's the one that before things happen, he's giving you a breakdown, right? And it's his, it's a perception of what's about to happen. The narrator breaks things down, and then you'll see it play out. So a narrative is basically the same thing. It's a background voice of, well, this is how you should be perceiving this situation right here.
Right.
This is how you should feel about this. If you don't feel this way about this, something's fucking wrong with you. If you don't feel that these men right here are wicked and that they're the problem with society, then something's wrong with you. Matter of fact, are you with them? You're probably with them. Matter of fact, we're going to take all of y'all. See, and that's why I heard Elias Wamba say, as soon as you like the video, you already entered into a spiritual battle. So, because now you locked in. And if the spirit is working with you, you're going to be hearing what brothers are saying, and you're going to be following the spirit, and you're going to enter into that spiritual battle. And there's a spiritual narrative, and then there's Esau's narrative, and it's constantly clashing. And that's why it's coming to a head, and that's why they're going to bring out Jacob's trouble, which is the Lord's will.
Yeah, they'll show you movies like American Sniper, you know, and these movies where they'll show in the from the perspective of like U.S. troops going into like some foreign country, and you know the people over there are like shooting back at them, and oh these guys are crazy, they're shooting them with an AK, and so in the movie you end up like, yo, I hope the sniper don't get caught, you know, I hope he's able to hit the target. Damn, they've been waiting for months looking for this guy. But at the end of the day, if you look at the bigger picture, you're like, wait, hold on. You invaded these people's country and they're defending themselves over some character you made up, but you just need a body to show the public so you can continue with your cover story. So you've gone in here, you've broken into family homes, you're killing people in the streets, and they're taking up arms to defend themselves. That's why they're so vicious. But you're painting them as just these ruthless wild beasts because the narrative is from the perspective of the bad guys really being the good guys. You see? And that's what they do all the time. They play on the minds of the people. And that's how they justify wars. They justify wicked means because they paint a narrative. Did we finish on that?
I say that they doing that with America as in itself. But every time you turn on the news, you hear about scenarios as far as YNs is concerned and the gun violence. They can't really turn their gun on their own people because the military is going to be coming in as far as what police job was.
Yep.
So once they start that, Americans going to feel like the war is against themselves, the citizens. So that's where you're going to get that civil unrest.
And they might start doing that in these European countries as well. Because they're over there, they're facing the same thing, if not worse. But over there, they just letting the shit slide. You know what I mean? Like some wild shit from quote unquote migrants over there. You know? But yeah, finish on that.
Continuing Ecclesiastes 9 and 16. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard.
Yeah. His wisdom is despised and his words are not heard. So when he stops speaking, it isn't until you need the help that you're gonna start looking. Like if they ever you know, you'll sometimes you'll see a commercial about something, right? Maybe it's like the suicide watch number or whatever, and it is like, you know, if you ever know somebody that's going through something like this, you know, call this number and so on. And every time it happens, it's almost like, yeah, switch the channel, man, whatever. Until you're in a situation where you're like, yo, shit, yeah, there was some number that they were like, yo, we should call. Now all of a sudden, that's what you're looking for, but you can never find it. You know, when are they gonna play that commercial? You're typing it in, you're like, what was it that they said? What was the something watch? You're looking for it, but it's never there. But just a second ago, it wasn't important. It was so unimportant. You turned off the TV every time it came on. But now that you're in a situation where it's valuable to you, it's the most important thing in the world. And that's why when the prophet stops speaking, that's the Lord is gonna flip it. He's gonna make it important when you can no longer access it. And that's when people are gonna start scrambling, looking. Got out on.
Hey, it's that the family of the word is actually taking place on a lower level. All right, with them, you know, chopping our channels down, striking videos, and so on and so forth. But also, there are certain websites that we used to have access to that they're no longer there. Like you go on the website, it will tell you, was it 403 error or something like that, 304 error, some error code will pop up. And you'd be like, yo, am I typing this wrong? And you could search, type everything you remember, everything, the links, all that. It will say page not found. Okay, so that's what a lot of people are gonna go, and that's the most frustrating thing because that page that you're looking for is for you to make a point, and it validates everything you're trying to say or trying to portray or whatever the case may be. And without that page, without that point, your point may not be as clear, right? So you go above and beyond looking for the shit, and it's not there. So now you gotta say, man, there was a point where there was a page that went into all this. For example, the Deagle military page, right? It was available back in 2016, where they showed, you know, the population and how much is going to be decreased by 2025. Okay, when you go on the Deagle report, I used to be on that shit all the time. And you see the United States, you see China, you see India, you see Germany, you see the UK, all these different countries that were going to get depopulated by 2025. All right, according to the Deagle webpage. You try to go on that Deagle webpage, it doesn't exist anymore. All right, and then sometimes they'll take that domain name and then put it to something else. So you type it in, you're like, oh, it was Deagle, but then Deagle is sending you to some other shit made by Moderna or some shit. You sitting there like, man, this ain't what I was looking at last time, right? And that's this is all happening now before AI pretty much takes over everything. So once AI takes over everything, they're gonna wipe out all the content that we ever put up. So at that point, it's you have it in you or you don't. You see what I'm saying? And the little that you may have, that's what Yahweh Shai said, the little that you have, he will take away from you. You see what I'm saying? So it's going to be like dire straits, as the scripture says, a time like never before. All these things are culminating to that. When it's so much, it says perplexity, all right, among the nations. It says Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble means what? You're perplexed in the mind. Okay, your mind is disturbed. Okay, you're not at peace. Okay, and that means that every single thing that brings you stress will be escalated to a whole nother level. All right, job security, food security, or insecurities, I should say. All right, you know, your life being they call it peace and safety, but yeah, there ain't no peace and safety. Everything is upside down. Remember, everything is inverted. They'll tell you we're bringing you food, but really the food is to kill you. They'll tell you this is to keep you it's safe and effective. Meanwhile, it's to create blood clots to get you a heart attack, and you're gonna be out of here soon. Right? All these different things they've been doing. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. Okay, we're gonna just eliminate all the carbon by cutting down the trees. How does that make sense? We're gonna cut down the trees that's supposed to suck up all the carbon, but yet we're gonna eliminate carbon by cutting trees down. Oh, great! Then now you got less trees, a lot more people. The skies are all polluted. Now, oh well, the only thing we gotta do now is depopulate the people. We gotta take them out because they're the ones who's producing all this carbon. Right? All this dumbass shit. We're just gonna eliminate all the food that you can eat and just give you some 3D printed shit, some lab grown. Bill Gates talking about he made some what was it? Was it butter or milk or something out of whatever he made it of? And you're sitting there like, and people actually tasting this shit and acting like it's sweet. I'm like, you know, you're pretending. How much do they pay you for this shit, bro? Stop. You know you're gonna get sick tomorrow. You're gonna have to go back to the ER and wonder what happened. You would just be used as a test dummy. Okay? So all these things are playing out. They sprayed chemtrails. They talking about they want to block out the sun. You know, they want to cut down 70% of the trees in the Amazon jungle. All this stuff that these devils are coming out and telling you. But yet you're still going to go down to them for help and say, oh, I got it. Because it's a system. It's a system. And people are just trained to go by what the system says. So anything that happens, they can't function on their own. They will not allow themselves to function on their own because to them, functioning on their own means you're in danger. That's what it is. They've been programmed to think, if I think on my own and make decisions on my own, oh, that's a problem. You see? And that's going to come back to bite a lot of people, man. All right? A lot of people are going to be destroyed by that. Was that Revelation 12:12? The devil has come down upon you having great wrath because you know that he had but a short time. That means you people also have a short time, man. All right? If the devil got short time, you niggas got a short time, a shorter time. All right? And the Lord said, the Apostle Paul said, the Lord is going to do a quick work. All right? With you dumbass people, man. He's going to make a quick work, man. All right? But you got it, bros.
That's it. And yeah, that deception is going to be to their demise. So what we got in here? Let's get that.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 33 and 30. And it reads, also, thou son of man, the children of thy people still are talking against thee by the walls and the doors of the houses, and speak one to another, everyone to his brother, saying, come, I pray you, and hear what is the word that cometh forth from the Lord.
Yeah, so they're not doing that out of sincerity, right? They're looking at this thing and they're like, yo, you heard what them Israelites were saying, man? Yo, yeah, look, sharing videos, but they're not doing it out of the urgency to seek the Lord and to sincerely turn back and repent. They're doing it because it's something new. They're doing it because it's something like, oh shit, I didn't hear this before, and they're doing it so they can scoff against it, and you see those videos all the time. So the Lord is going to do something as a result. Let's read what he's going to do.
Verse 31. And they come unto thee as the people cometh, and they sit before thee as my people, and they hear thy words, but they will not do them.
Yeah. So then it's the same thing now, right? They hear the things that we're telling them. We hear the words that we're speaking in plain English, right? And in the different languages that the Lord has brothers, speaking, but they're not going to do them. Okay, they're still going to go about. Somebody could come here and stand here and listen to how we go into the scriptures and explain why they shouldn't commit adultery, and they're going to turn around that same night and go commit adultery. Put your hand up, Aaron. Hey, finger up.
Yeah, just a quick precept to back you up. This is the book of Acts chapter 17 and verse 19. And this also proves the point that the Israelites back then are the same Israelites back here again today. The prophets back then, the apostles, the disciples are back here again today doing the same thing, dealing with the same bullshit. All right. There's the book of Acts chapter 17 verse 19. It says, and they took him and brought him unto Areopagus, saying, may we know what this new doctrine whereof thou speakest is? Right? So they'll come up, niggas will come up and be like, oh, y'all are Israelites? Oh, we just trying to hear about more about, so this is what y'all believe in. That's what they do, bro. They always come up with that type of energy, man. Is it for thou bringest certain strange things to our ears? Like you were saying, it's some new thing. I just want to hear more about what y'all are saying. It's like this new thing going on. It's not new, bro. It's not new. It's new to you, but it's not new. All right? It says, we would know, therefore, what these things mean. Right? So explain to us. Let us know this Israelite thing y'all talking about. It says, for all the Athenians and strangers which were there spent their time in nothing else but either to tell or to hear some new thing. Right? That's where you get all these dumbass debates. All they do is spend their time to hear something new or to say some new shit. Like, oh, the lake of fire is actually, it's going to be a river now. Nigga, shut up. We don't want to hear that shit. Okay? You sound crazy saying that dumbass shit. All right? Oh, the MOTB is not an RFID CHIP. It's sin in all its various forms, both political and religious. And niggas run with that. They actually say these things and get mad at people who come up and say, nah, the CHIP is the RFID, is the MOTB there. Oh, Jake, y'all gone. Hey, you got to keep the commandments. This is crazy. All these debates, all this evil surmisings and murmurings and all that. You know how much the Most High hates murmurers and murmurs? When you go into the scriptures, you know how many times the Most High highlighted what he did to those who just murmured? Okay, you talking shit behind his back and behind the men who he put out there behind their backs, murmurings. Do you know the kind of judgment that comes with that? Right? The scripture says, well, every idle word that man shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. So you sit around and you just come up with all this stuff. It just pops in your head. So you just go and do a video on it and say it and just start some controversy. There's judgment for that. Because not only are you taking away from the scriptures, you're adding to the scriptures. You just come up with your own shit. Okay? It's very simple at the end of the day. But it's only simple for the elect. Right? What did Zaquan say yesterday? Is it's only the connection is for the elect.
Yeah, it's only going to connect with the elect.
It's only going to connect for the elect. That's it.
Yeah.
So if you don't have if you don't have the elect, it's not going to connect with you. And if it doesn't connect, that means that it bounces back. It bounces off of you. It's adverse to you, right? You're in rebellion to the words that's coming to you, right? It's a force. It's a clash, right? Our foreheads hard against their foreheads. The Lord says He's going to make our foreheads as hard as flint, right? These niggas is wicked as hell, so He got to make us tough enough to deal with these wicked ass niggas. The Lord said, if I would have sent you to a strange nation, they would have heard you. It would have been peaceful, conversation. But just like the Apostle Paul had to deal with, right, to the point where they had men reserved to try to put him to death. You don't think we go through the same thing here? A few years ago, you had these niggas talking about, oh, we're going to get the Crips and the Bloods to come and talk to y'all. Where they at? All right? Yeah, they're getting ready to get talked to by the military and the martial law troops very soon. All right? But just wanted to bring that out. Y'all brothers got it.
God. Yeah, exactly. So where we at with it?
Ezekiel chapter 33, also from the top of 31.
And it's gonna be like a movie. It's gonna be like you can't say I told you so enough. When it happens, right? To the point where you just don't say it anymore because it's gonna be like, yo, literally, this is exactly what we told you was gonna happen, and it's happening, and you're reacting exactly as we told you were gonna react if you didn't take heed. So it's like it's gonna be interesting, but it's not gonna be new. Like we're gonna see it happen, but it's what we expect it to happen. Okay, go ahead.
And they come unto thee as the people cometh, and they sit before thee as my people, and they hear thy words, but they will not do them.
Yeah, because the words are all in the book now, right? The Bible's been here for a long, long time, and people know where to go if they want instructions, but they don't want to follow these things because it requires them to actually change their ways and stop all the things that they grew up knowing to do. And you ask, yo, you gonna stop murdering people? For what? You know what I'm saying? I do this shit, nigga. I live this shit. Fuck, you think I play, nigga? Demon time. Yeah, demon time. But for what? Yo, F your life. You know, you think I care about your life? That's your life. Like, and because they grow up with that in mind. It desensitizes their mind to that, so it doesn't feel like a big deal for them. But the Most High is about to bring heavy plagues and punishments upon you to the point where you ain't even gonna have enough tears to cry, and we just gonna we ain't none of us intervening in that. You know, Lord, get him. Yeah, that's one right there. He's trying to escape. Yeah, you cut the corner and the hyena spawns. Where the fuck did hyena come from? In the cities of New York? Yeah, in the cities of New York. There's gonna be a portal in the alleyway just spawning wild animals, you know what I'm saying, just crawling out of there. Imagine a scorpion the size of a car. You know what I'm saying? And you thinking, all right, at least it's not that this shit is moving faster than the actual car. Yeah, they're gonna experience some shit. You know, and the Most High, because he's the king of terrors. What you think it's the Lord made it when he's going to the time of Egypt, it mentions the apparitions that he spawned. So, and the Egyptians were familiar with spirits. So it wasn't like, you know, they had never heard of spirits before, or it was something new to them, or no, they were familiar with spirits, and even they got shook. So how much more for these people over here, where they see a magic trick and they're like, oh my gosh, and now you see an actual apparition in front of you, and you know what? A lot of people gonna be deceived because they're gonna think it's a filter. They're gonna think somebody's playing a prank on them.
AI.
Yeah, it's AI. Nigga, there ain't no screen. It's right in front of you. You know, they gonna think it's AI until the AI grab them and throws them right into the roof of a building somewhere. And it ain't gonna be like them animes. You fly through 10 buildings talking about, oh, now this is getting interesting. No, nigga. It ain't getting you the second your back hits that first building, you gonna realize, yeah, this shit real. You know, splat, yeah. Twitching on the floor and shit.
And it mentions too, like how they were hearing things.
Hmm?
The Lord knows the King of Terrors is gonna really bring it to you people, man.
Yeah.
You might be in an empty room and you hear a damn elephant. You know, you hear an elephant going crazy, but you in an empty room. Yo, I just hear a fucking elephant. Did I just hear a lion? That dude broke his neck and look back. You probably gonna feel that, right?
Yeah.
You know? And another thing that came to mind when you read that precept about our people was the dude that came up to Amon Gabar and the brothers in the main camp talking about that you're right.
Mhm.
But if the brothers are so right, where have you been the last 10 years? You see? But Jake, and that's the thing, Jake loves to hear it. You know, oh, it's a spectacle, you know? That's why Apostle Paul said, I think that the Lord sent the apostles last, as it were to, you know, paraphrase it, but to be a spectacle unto men and angels, basically. Even the angels are interested in what we're doing, because this is just completely out of the ordinary. You don't see this. Okay, every other person here is just going with the motion of the world, but this is the glitch in the matrix right here. You see? So the Lord is going to bring them terrors upon you. He is going to bring those strange apparitions, those strange things. You're going to hear a waterfall in the middle of your living room. You know, you might hear that green goblin laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden the green goblin really pop out on you. Okay? Hey, whatever your greatest fear is, the Lord is going to bring it to you, and he knows it because he made you. That's the scary thing about the Lord. And I would never understand why people would not fear the Lord. Well, I know that he blinded them, but I'm just saying, on face value, this is the power that made everything. He knows you, all right? And he knows every single thing about you and the fears and terrors that you have. But let me play around with it. Come on, bro.
Yeah, it's like I remember this in high school. You had this chick. We were talking about this, and I mentioned that the Lord will bring your worst fear upon you. Or I think there was a question I was asking, like, what do people fear most? This chick said toes. She fears toes. And I looked at her and I asked her, I said, wait, you of all the things in the world, you told me toes, like human toes, like toes? She's like, yeah, toes. Like they really like spook her out. And I'm here trying to like fathom what she just said. Like, you not a snake, not a serpent, not even a scenario, but toes. So I said, all right, well, guess what? You fuck around, the Lord might have just a big ass toe out of nowhere. A huge one just smother you, you know, just trap your face between the big toe and the middle one, and just keep that around your face. Some stank ass toes too, and just smothering you to death.
With 10 toes on it. They fucking Goliath feet.
Yeah, what?
Come and snatch your ass up, bitch.
Yeah, just smothering your fat ass over there. You know, because people, they don't like, you think that, okay, you're afraid of rats. So the Lord just has one rat, one body. No. He might have rats the size of cars. And it's at that point, that's when they start getting dangerous. Because see, rats, when you look at their teeth, when you look at their teeth, they got the they got the two sharp ass teeth. And you got some rats where their eyes are just all red, like legit. And so, they'll show you them scenes in the dark, and you just, you turn around and you open you see the eyes pop open, and it's just red, like 2, and then 4, 6, 8, 10, and they just, tails wagging and shit.
Hey, they had back in the day, they had torture methods, which they gonna be bringing all that shit back, where they had them big ass rats. Them niggas is like hungry as shit. And then what they do is they have them in a cage. They don't feed them for a while because they know they're going to bring some criminals up very soon, maybe a week or so. They're going to be fed. So them niggas is ready to eat. So what they do is they put them in a cage and it's all boxed in. And then they have the person's chest wide open and pinned to the cage, right? So then the rat comes in. He's coming around. And then once he gets to that cage, the opening is right where your stomach and your sternum is at. So all he got to do, he's hungry. He smells flesh. What do you think he's going to do at that point? And here it is, you the victim, your hands is tied behind your back, and you just laying there, and you got this giant rat just going to town on your stomach, man, and just tearing up your intestines, and you're still alive, right? And you feel the pain, you feel all the pain, and it's scary. The anticipation of, oh, this motherfucker's about to bite me, oh, this motherfucker about to chew me, and then it finally starts happening, and then you're dealing with it as it's happening, and then nobody's there to help you. You see, that's a traumatizing thing. How many people today can actually go through some shit like that? Even if they were, hit with a tranquilizer or some shit like, yo, you ain't gonna feel no pain with this one. No, right? The Lord is gonna make sure that anything that he puts you through is gonna be for you to remember. Oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have fucked with the Lord like that. Maybe I shouldn't have messed with the name of the Lord and his son's name and his men. Maybe I should have taken what they were saying seriously, man. You're gonna be screaming, God, Christ, Jesus, man. Guess what? That nigga that be doing a Jesus Christ dancing, he might pop up around and start dancing and shit to mock you. Because the Lord says what? I believe in Galatians, the Apostle Paul said what? That the Most High is not mocked, right? So all this shit, all this folly that's been going on is literally a mockery of the Heavenly Father. Because if you took the words of the Heavenly Father seriously, since the prophets came out, all this folly should have been dead a long time ago. Jake should have been on some serious type of time instead of demon time, man. All right. So you've definitely been mocking the Lord. You've been mocking his prophets, as is written in the book of Jeremiah. The Lord sent us out B times. And what did you do? You made waste of his prophets. All right. You didn't listen. You came against the men of the Lord. All right. You plotted and schemed to take them out. Right. All these different things, man. You don't think there's judgment for that? Yeah, his judgment is coming. It's coming. It's coming fast. You got it, bros.
Yeah, man. And a theme from George Orwell's 1984. Also shows you that's why people were so scared of that one room they would take you in. That shit was so traumatizing. It resets you back to a factory slave when they take you back out of that room. Because it was just like Aharon said, except the rat was in the cage, not to your chest, but to your face. They'll put you in a contraption, and then it's like 3 cages, and the rat is in the furthest cage back there, and your head is in the furthest cage over here. And so they open, one cage one by one, and the rat comes, and we're talking about big ass rats too. You know what I'm saying? Them rats that look diseased, like that squirrel that had the tentacles.
The NYC rats. Yeah.
Yeah, them niggas. Them D-train rats be riding the train with you.
There's a video of one of these rats. He was in a corner somewhere, and you see this bird passing by, and nigga grabbed the bird, and then the bird trying to escape. And then he's like, nah, nigga, come back. Boom, grabbed him and right back in the hole. I said, oh, shit. That was not a rat. That was like a cat or something. That motherfucker huge as shit. And the guy standing like, oh, he got that. Oh, I'm like, yeah, there's nothing you can do about that. That's NYC rats right there for you, man. Crazy shit. You got it, bro.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to be seeing. Because the Lord's going to be showing, once again, these rats, they're going to have spirits on them, right? Just like people can have spirits on them, these animals can have spirits on them. And you wondering, why is this shit still pushing at me? Because rats do that. They'll jump. Like sometimes they'll come to you. You think a rat's gonna run away from you, but it'll actually start chasing you, and then it'll jump because it's trying to get on you. And you get people start getting spooked out. But that in that movie, that's what they did. It was a torture method, and they would interrogate you. They would ask you questions, so they'll see how hard are you. Can you break? How hard are you before you break? Okay, if you really think you're tough. And so they'll ask you a question, and then you answer it wrong, they open that first door. And that rat is, I mean, like one of the things that makes it scarier is the rat launches itself. You know what I'm saying? And then it hits that second cage, and it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like a rabies infected rat, you know, and it's just like, it's like, yo, it wants you, bro. And it's just like pacing back and forth. And then they'll ask you another question. You get that, they open the second one. Now it's just one more gate before you and that rat. And you can feel its whiskers reaching out at you like, nigga, let me get my hands on you. So at that point, that's when a lot of people just break. You know, they say, look, I don't care about freedom no more. Fuck this shit. Put me back in there. And then they let them out, and they're perfectly obedient after that. But this time, the Lord isn't looking for you to become obedient in Jacob's trouble. No. Jacob's trouble, the goal is to open all three gates. You know, the goal is not, oh Lord, you got me on the third gate. You know, I admit you got me there. So let's do this again. No, the Lord is going to open the third gate, and that rat is going to launch right into your eyeballs. You know, because that's what they're going to see. Like it's like, imagine if you were caged up in a box, right, and you're hungry, and all of a sudden they open one side of the box, and it's just literally a wall of chicken, like a big ass piece of fried chicken, and you can bite anywhere you want because it's chicken, and it smells mad good. What you think you're gonna do to that? Same thing you're gonna do to that chicken is what them rats are gonna do to you. So, and that's just one of many examples. The Lord is called the King of Terrors for a reason. So don't mess with Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. A lot of these people walking around here thinking everything is all sweet. You gonna be getting your ass cheeks sliced off by cannibals. You know, you chicks that walk around with BBLs thinking you got a fat ass, they gonna keep slicing it like bread. You know, each day is getting flatter and flatter and flatter, and they're gonna keep moving to different parts. Go ahead. Finishing Ezekiel, and then let's jump to Wisdom of Solomon.
Continuing Ezekiel 33 and 31. For with their mouth they show much love, but their heart goeth after the covetousness.
Yeah. So they'll say with their mouth, they'll profess to be believers in God, and I believe in God, but are you living a godly lifestyle? Yeah, I'm working on it. You've been working on it for decades, and the work is never progressing. So what's really going on over here, right? So, and the Lord doesn't like that. Like, yo, you can say all these things, but the value is not in your words. The value is in your actions. Okay. If I tell you, I need you to clean this car by the time I get back because I got to make it for an appointment, and you tell me you're going to do it, but you don't do it, I'm going to be more upset that you told me you were going to do it, and now I can't go to this appointment because you haven't done what I needed you to do. You didn't take the action. But if you said, nah, but I came home and you already did it, I'm going to be more pleased because the action is what matters. So the Lord is like, yo, you telling me you love me and then turning around and committing adultery or murdering your neighbor is pissing me off. Okay? I'd rather you just not even say anything at all, but just do what I tell you to do. Go ahead.
And lo, thou art unto them as a very lovely song of one that have a pleasant voice.
Meaning they want to hear what you got to say because it sounds controversial. It piques their curiosity. It satisfies and scratches that itch. But go ahead.
And can play well on an instrument, for they hear thy words, but they do them not.
Yeah, just like people want to hear good music, they want to hear, they love going to concerts because they like that experience, but they don't actually want to put in the labor and all the things that they got to do to serve the Lord. No. Go ahead.
And when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come.
All these things that we've been warning you about, they're going to come to pass. We're seeing them coming to pass now. And when it comes to pass, because the Lord said, lo, it will come. So that's how do you know it's going to happen? Well, the Lord said it's going to happen. Well, how do you know what the Lord, then now you're asking a pointless question. I'm not going to answer that. Go ahead.
Then shall they know that a prophet have been among them.
Yeah, and then you can ask them, how do you know it's not going to happen? Right? But that's when they're going to know that a prophet has been among them. That's when they're going to stop and say, oh, shit. These men were actually prophets, yo. Everything they said, like I'm actually going through it right now. I'm locked in my house right now, and there's troops in the streets mowing shit down. And that's exactly what they said was going to happen. Damn. And it's going to feel like a miracle to them. But then the next thought is going to be, how do I get in contact with them? Like, how do I find out more? I need more. Because now I know that they weren't lying. I know that they were telling the truth. All right. So now jump to that. Because now what's going to await you is the Lord's going to give you that taste of reality. You're going to see what the truth is. and then you're gonna face the judgment. You know, the smarter of them are gonna realize it a little sooner, because they're gonna start to think, okay, if what they said was right, but I came against them, they also mentioned the bad things that would happen to those that came against what they were teaching. So eventually they're gonna start putting two and two together and realize, oh shit, I'm fucked. And they're gonna think, oh, if I can find them and apologize to them, maybe I might have a chance. I just gotta say, yo, I'm sorry, bro. Y'all were right. Yo, please just help me out. But the reason we were out here so early is because we're not the ones who can help you out. But the one who can help you out is still helping people out. So go there now, because once he stops helping people out, even if you come and find us, we can't do anything for you. You get what I'm saying? The tickets are sold out. Oh, yo, you the ticket, yo, you the one who the ticket, bro. There ain't no more tickets, bro. So go ahead.
This is the book of the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17 and 1. For great are thy judgments and cannot be expressed.
Yeah, you can't express the judgments of the Lord. All right, they're pretty horrific. In fact, some of the most horrific things that have happened on the planet Earth were all done by the Lord. The Most High orchestrated it. In fact, He had it planned and set up. And you talk about some crazy genocides, right? You talk about some crazy natural disasters. You know how demonic and inhumane people can be. The Most High put that spirit on them to do that. God?
Therefore, unnurtured souls have erred.
Nurtured souls. Yeah, they have erred. Go ahead.
For when unrighteous men thought to oppress the holy nation,
We're just dealing with the Egyptians back in Egypt when they had Israel in captivity. Go ahead.
they being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness, and fretted with the bonds of a long night, they there exiled from the eternal providence.
Yeah, because what ended up happening was that was one of the plagues the Lord hit them with. Darkness. Okay, thick darkness. To where you couldn't see, even if there it's gonna tell you that, even if there was a light right in front of you, you couldn't make it out. You couldn't see what was going on. And then you start to hear the apparition. First they cut off the lights, and then comes the rest. Go ahead.
For while they were supposed to lie hid in their secret sins, they were scattered under a dark veil of forgetfulness, being horribly astonished and troubled with strange apparitions.
Yeah, they were astonished, meaning they were scared, they were surprised, they were shaken up with what? Strange.
Apparitions.
And that apparition is today what they would call a ghost or a spirit. So you can imagine just how horrific, demonic beasts, and scary. Yo, the scriptures tell you that there are angels which have eyes round about them. Okay? They're angels that have the heads of a lion and an eagle and a man and all of that. You see something like that, man, you're gonna think it's evil. But these are angels in the presence of the Lord. Scary, big, tall, giant, like non-human looking angels, based on the description you hear. And here the Lord said He showed some strange apparitions, things that they hadn't seen before. It's like the Lord painting different scary creatures and then just sending them over there. All right, hop on over there and go teach them a lesson. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to say it's funny because you were saying how how the angels are things in the first chapter, how one has a lion's head, eagle. But it's very funny, especially with the Egyptians. They believe in certain beings like Ra and all that to have like a bird face.
Right.
But when they see it, it's like, oh my God, what's that? But it's like you believe in that type of stuff. People believe in Satan and what they call Lucifer to be some dragon type being. But then when they see these spirits, they're gonna lose their minds. But hey, you should be acquainted or fine with seeing something like this because you believe in that type of weird stuff. So why are you afraid?
Mhm.
I just wanted to bring that point out. I found it interesting.
No, definitely. Like, I mean, they watch scary movies. They into that stuff. They watch them animes like what's this Death Note. You look at Death Note, that shit Shikigami or whatever. Yeah, that thing was looking scary as hell. He was mad tall too. A tall demon. So imagine what the Most High is gonna send when He plagues this place. They ain't that, man. People ain't seen nothing yet. Yeah.
Sometimes they be in the movies, they be like this around the point with the long hands like this. But you be watching them type of movies. So when you see it, you shouldn't be afraid. Like, oh, Man, I see you in some other movie.
right? Like Resident Evil. You know, you see them wild shits.
The liquor.
Yep. Yeah, them demons over there, man. They can take on, because demons. Look, the scary movies you watch, they come from people's minds. They're like the ideas that go into people's heads. Those ideas are put in there by the Heavenly Father. Okay, so yeah, he does it, and it's just a depiction. It's on the screen. It's using, like, you know, visual computer editing, visual graphics, and so on and so forth. How much more in real life? When you have a big ass demon breathing on you, you know, like you're standing there and the shit is behind you, like, you know, those movie scenes where they're in a scary house. They know that there's something scary in the house, but they went there to explore anyway. And as they're talking, one of the shit appears behind the back of one of them, and the other one sees it. And then all you see is a scary face, a scary look on his face, and he's like trying to point to say, like, behind you, behind you, behind you. And you just see that big ass demon breathing on this nigga. You know, a big bad demon. Just breathing on, like in Jujutsu Kaisen. You know, they spawn them crazy, morbidly deformed creatures. And they sound scary as well. They sound like you know, like they don't sound human. That those are apparitions. Carry on.
For neither might the corner that held them keep them from fear.
So imagine that, running into a corner and thinking that you're gonna be okay. Hiding, trying to, you know. Go ahead.
But noises as of waters falling down sounded about them.
Yeah. You know, when you're at, if you go to like a waterfall, it's not a light sound. You're talking about, especially the higher it is, you're talking about water actually falling and crashing down, you know? So it's like a great rushing, you know, that you hear. Imagine just hearing that out of nowhere. Because in the nighttime, everybody's asleep. It's quiet and it's dark. And you're in a corner somewhere trying to hide. Like you're seeing some shit and you're not sure if you're seeing what you're seeing or not. Then it appears again. Then you start hearing different sounds. Carry on.
And sad visions appeared unto them with heavy countenances.
And those are them scary spirits with heavy countenance. A countenance is your appearance or your face. Okay, so having a heavy countenance, meaning like it's a very a scary face, one that's like a hard pill to swallow, so to speak. Type of shit that give you a heart attack when you see it. Okay, and they're seeing things like that, like the Abomination and Hulk. These are the kinds of things the Lord was showing them. Scary ass things that their heart couldn't take.
One that comes to mind, I don't know if you've seen the speakers, or it's pretty much the thing that eats people.
Oh, shit.
And when they finally still, there was that one scene out in the movies, you gotta understand, like they keep, you know, usually what, at least that movie does a very good job of keeping them secret. Because essentially he looks like a man, he has like a cloak and stuff around him. So all you really see is like from far away distance is this man with the manly, like at least over 6 feet, and he looks like a man. But then there's a certain part, and even when they get closer to revealing him, you still see like a man, but you can kind of see like gray hair, like weird little hair where the top of his head is bald, but then like he has hair in the back here. And he looks weird, but like you don't really essentially see his face. You kind of see little outlines and things like that. But then when Chris, I think the brother's name was Darian, I forgot the sister's name. When they finally revealed, when there was like an old lady, because like in the movie there was a prophet, which was a lady. I think her name was something with a G, something like Giselle, I think her name was. And she was warning them that, yo, the creature wants you, he's coming after you. And basically she was trying to warn them, like, stay away from the lady with the house with cats. And eventually they got there or whatever. And then when eventually the creeper's revealed, you should see the look on the captives' faces. They're like this, they're like, especially the brother, he was especially freaked out because when they finally see it, the creeper, he killed the lady. But when he goes up there to through the door, he's like hiding behind the lady. But you know, it's like he's mad big and it's a small little lady. So he's like this, and you hear the footsteps. So he's like this, and then eventually he pushes her through the door opens, and he's like, and yeah, you know, they always have the teeth in his smile. And then when the brother and the sister see it, especially the brother, you should see that. Look it up on YouTube or whatever. When they finally see the face, they couldn't do that. Like you could tell, like the air was taken out of their face because it was like that. And then he just tossed the lady and then he starts chasing after them. But that's how it's going to be, that fearful, like to the point where it's like your breath and everything was taken away from you.
That's what it says in Isaiah 13, that pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. You know, it's like being wrapped up with fear, you know, and like a bear hug with fear, and you're just being suffocated because you can't move. You're paralyzed. Okay, that's exactly what it's gonna be like, and worse, because this time them demons ain't gonna be there just for visual effects. You know, them demons are gonna be like in the movie, gonna actually put you to death. Imagine that. You come home, or you know, you hear some screams, you run into the next room, and you just see the body severed, and there's nobody there. You know there was nobody in the house, but you just see the body severed, and you just see like footsteps of blood and shit, but yet the door's locked. How the hell? How's there the footsteps of blood, but the door's locked? The Lord is going to have some real scary things happening, man. And this was happening in Egypt, and them Egyptians were going through it. Different houses, different people. Go on.
No power of the fire might give them light.
Yeah, so it was so dark. It was so dark that, like, because back then they used the flame, right? They used light, fire to give them light. But it was so dark that they couldn't see anything, even with that fire. Doesn't matter how bright it was, how hot it was, they couldn't see it. That's how thick the darkness was. Good.
Neither could the bright flames of the stars endure to lie in the horrible night.
Which goes to show you that just like the sun is really like a ball of heat, so are the stars. That's why they're so bright. Okay. And so as it says, even the stars, so even when they looked up, that's why it says it was like a veil of darkness that covered them. So even the light of the stars and the moon could not pierce through that darkness. It was just straight darkness everywhere, inside your crib and outside your crib. And you could just imagine the screams they were hearing.
Yeah, example to give you of that, like darkness. I think I would say I kind of experienced that to a degree. Now this is back in the world when I was much younger. I'm not sure what they call them, but I went to like one of those Halloween festivals, whatever, where they got some like amusement thing or whatever.
Mhm.
And one of those things, they have like a ride in there where it's like one of those rides where like you're on some cart or whatever, and some whatever bulls or person will come out and jump at you. But yo, when I tell you, it was me and my uncle, if I'm not mistaken, we were in that thing and the doors closed. I'm telling you, that darkness in there, that was a different type of darkness. Yo, that darkness, it was so dark in there that I couldn't even see him, and he was right next to me. And it was like, yo, you felt the darkness in there. And it was so dark, and I vividly remember that thing. Yo, I was like, yo, no, get me out of here, because I don't like the way it's just, nobody popped out. But the darkness alone made me feel like, yo, nah, get me out of here, because I don't like this feeling of how dark. I felt like the darkness was like on me. Right. That's how dark it was. I'm like, and you imagine him, a small little cart, and you can't see nothing. And even though he's right next to me, I can feel him. I can't really see him, and it's just like, yo, the darkness felt smothering. Oh, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait for this shit to be over. Never again. I never did that shit ever again. Nah, fuck that.
Now imagine that, like, you're feeling this darkness, you know that this is a ride, right? And it's gonna come to a stop, and you're gonna be good. Here, them Egyptians are like, yo, I don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where this is coming from, but I know that I'm cooked right now. I can't get out of this, right? Like, where are you gonna go? Imagine that you think that, okay, it's just a demon. I'm just trying to run past it. Dude, grab you by the collar and fling your ass back into the corner. You're like, nigga, you going? What you think? I'm just like a hologram or something? You gonna disrespect me like that? And you know them demons, they love spooking people out. Like they'll at one point they'll just stand there, they'll just look at you, and then just like a split second later, they're just like boom right in front of you, just looking at you, and what the fuck is going on, man? Back up with your hot ass breath, you know. You're gonna find out. Some people they experience this in sleep paralysis, but this is gonna be in real life, and it might feel like sleep paralysis. Yes, sir?
Yeah, quick one. Hebrews 10:31. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. Yeah, so as the brother's been going into, the fearful judgments of the Heavenly Father by Hashem Yahushai, and that's something that this world doesn't focus enough on. You know, they talk about God is love, which he is, okay, but to love the Lord is to keep his commandments.
Right.
All right, and the Lord only loves Israel. Okay? The Lord only loves Israel, specifically his elect. Okay, so they'll talk about God is love, but you don't know that, hey, when a father loves his child, he comes with chastisement too. There's tough love as well. All right, but it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. That's why even when David had that those options for what he had done, I think he had numbered Israel,
Mhm.
and the Lord gave him 3 options of what he could do. He said, "Listen, um, he didn't want to fall into the hands of the heathen. He wanted to fall into the hands of the Lord,
Mhm.
ultimately, because he knew the Lord would have mercy. But even then, that judgment was terrible, man.
Right.
I think it says that there was an angel, right,
Yep.
of judgment that the
Mhm.
Lord sent.
Pestilence, I think you explained to people with.
Yep, pestilence, and then you have examples of 185,000 Assyrians being slain at one time.
Mhm.
All right, this is the power that Jacob boasting their guns. They might be able to go do a drive-by. The Lord could do a drive-by on a whole city. Okay, the Lord could drop judgment and take out a whole city, millions of people in an instant. All right, quicker than a Thanos snap.
That's it.
Okay, and this is the power that we serve. Hey, call lawyer, how about Shem Yao shot it? That was the crow. 3 times it made a sound, and that's, hey, man, we in the belly of the beast. That was spiritual, man. You might have to do a lesson on that later.
So let's go back to where we're at.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17 and 6. Only there appeared unto them a fire kindled of itself.
So imagine this. It's so dark, you can't see anything. Any flame you light up, you can't see. You can feel the heat, but you can't see it. But then all of a sudden, a random fire just lights up. You're like, yo, shit, man, what the hell's going on today? What did I do wrong today? Go ahead.
Very dreadful.
And Jake are more dramatic than heathens. Like imagine this, because them Hamites, you'll see them, they'll tame hyenas and shit. Like they'll drive off hyenas with spears and just yelling. You wondering, yeah, this ain't playing with a hyena like it's a dog. I mean, it's a dog, but damn, he playing with it like it's all good out here. Jake will see that on TV and bug out. They'll go to the zoo and be scared. So imagine if these heathens got this spooked out, how much more for when Lord brings this to Jake? And like it says, he knows your fears. He knows what makes you most afraid. Go ahead.
Very dreadful, for being much terrified, they brought the things which they saw to be worse than the sight they saw not.
Read that again.
Verse 6. Only there appeared unto them a fire kindled of itself, very dreadful, for being much terrified. They thought the things which they saw to be worse than the sight they saw not.
Yeah. So the things that they were seeing, they thought it to be much scarier than the things that they weren't seeing, because they were both hearing things and seeing things. Okay, but you could just imagine it doesn't tell you every single thing, right? But in Wisdom of Solomon, it gives you a good sense of the kind of scary apparitions they were seeing, because it also goes into not just the visuals but the sounds that were going on as well. Go on.
As for the illusions of art magic, they were put down, and their vaunting in wisdom was reproved with disgrace.
Yeah, because the Egyptians they got into that stuff. They dove into the left hand practices and the magic and so on and so forth. But that had nothing on that plague that they went through that night. Go ahead.
For they that promised to drive away terrors and troubles from a sick soul were sick themselves of fear.
Yeah. So because when in that time, those that were sick would go to them. Those magi's, those sorcerers, those wise men, and so on, and they would use their left hand practices to tell them, okay, go and grab this ingredient, go and grab that ingredient. Okay, bring me this. Okay, now do some weird ritual and then do this, and then sometimes it would actually work because you'd be using demons. Okay, but it's saying that those people that were driving away fear and sickness from others, they themselves were sick for fear. Go ahead.
For though no terrible thing did fear them, yet being scared with beasts that passed by and the hissing of serpents.
Hear that? So while they were in that darkness, right? It's not just, it wasn't bad enough that they were in darkness, but while they were in that darkness, they were hearing sounds of what?
Oh, yet being scared of beasts that pass by and hissing of serpents.
Right. So you had beasts, skipping beasts, the sounds, the different animals. A lion is a beast. A bear is a beast. Okay. You got these wild animals, and them their growls and their the sounds that they make. They can sound pretty scary. You hear a bear growling before charging at you. That should sound scary. Because sometimes something can sound so real, especially when you can't see. You think it's actually there, where it's just like it sounds like there's a bear growling in the corner right next to you, and it's getting louder and louder and louder, and then you just hear it charging at you, and you're just like, yo, it feels like it's literally right next to me, and it might just stop right before it gets you. You might actually feel like a breath coming upon you. You might feel some old lady's fingers with long fingernails right up on your neck and shit. Just grabbing the back of your ears and shit.
I was gonna say, since you mentioned bears, what made me think was, the Lord could give a lot of those women that would say, "Oh, either a man or a bear, or I choose the bear." He could give that to you. Seeing as how you said, "Oh, you'd rather choose the bear," all right. So you're gonna be somewhere in the wilderness, and you're gonna be there with the bear, and it's not gonna be how you think. This isn't Winnie the Pooh or what was it, Yogi Bear and all that. No,
Be lost in the 3 bears.
yeah, this
Smokey the bear.
they're gonna come cuddle you. They're gonna come smother you, eat you, bite you up. So a lot of the women that sit there and say, "Oh, I'd rather choose the bear over the man," all right, you're gonna get what you want.
Yeah, them bears gonna be doing them mukbang videos with your body. And I'm gonna put some of this on there and grab the arteries and be like, y'all gotta try this. Y'all gotta try. That's what them bears gonna be doing. They're gonna be broadcasting it live to their only bears.
Roasted young boy.
Broad bitches.
Spicy bitch.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because the Lord got a sense of humor. Yeah, and then he opened up, and imagine this, right? The Lord opened up the mouth, because this just came into my mind. He opened up the mouth of Balaam's ass, and Balaam's ass was talking, right? Because the ass is another name for a donkey, and it was actually talking to him, telling him, "Listen, nigga, the fuck you think this is? Being my ass, they don't see the angel right in front of us." So if the Lord can open up the mouth of the donkey, which it was called a dumb ass because it couldn't speak, to talk to Balaam, imagine that. You see a bear and the bear is looking at you and the bear starts talking. That's it. That's it. Wait, what happened? Yeah, yep. You already know. Yep. So you're gonna have that's spiritual. That's spiritual because most people that walk by, they don't really know that. We were talking about the bear. He said, like David, how he was he basically got the sheep out of the bear's mouth. So hey, that's it. But I think he was carrying, I don't know, it's a rock or something like that. But hey, the rock on this rock, But what I was saying was you gonna have a bear talking to you. Imagine that. Like, it's telling you, like, nigga, I'm gonna eat you today. You know what I'm saying? Like hashtag blessed. I'm about to eat this food real quick. Now that's gonna be scary. Knowing that, because the Lord can do that. Remember, he said this is gonna be a time like never before. And you're face to face, you flee from the lion, and the bear met you, you fled from the bear, and the serpent, you leaned your hand in the wall, and the serpent bit you. Now, hold on now, calm down now. You know that venom is dangerous. You ain't gonna survive that shit. Just take a seat.
I'm talking about, oh, Satan was a snake and it was talking to you.
Right.
Okay, you get your fucking wish now.
Mhm.
Right before he bites you.
Yep.
Alien movies, the xenomorphs. It's the lava alone is acidic and it burns through metal.
Oh shit.
You're gonna have a xenomorph pull up on your ass, man.
Yeah.
Science fiction is gonna be real in that day.
They always known for creeping up behind you, and they like, look behind you. Come with them jaws, blow your whole brain out.
Face hugger. The face huggers goes and then it plants its seed inside your stomach, and then that shit bursts out.
Talking about extended jaws.
It's
Like still, it's right through your skull.
Yeah, that's when it becomes the xenomorph. That's when. But the brother was talking about the face hugger because, like, for them to become the xenomorph, the face hugger got a thing on your face and it wraps its tail around your neck, so that way it can't take it off. Try to, it squeezes, then it puts something in your mouth, pause, and then it impregnates you and puts the baby in you. And then later on, that baby becomes a xenomorph and it bursts through your chest and it grows up fast. It's not like small. And then later on, like I think I watched like the recent Alien movie as well. No, not that. I forgot what it was called. The recent, I forgot what it was called. But the xenomorphs, they're predators. They're like Scorpio. They're not like wild animals, but no. They'll be like up in the fucking corner somewhere on the wall, just waiting for you to like pass through or whatever and then attack you. They're not like just like when you watch some of them alien movies, they think they're these wild animals like a rabid dog. No, that shows you that they have a mind up there to know, let me wait up here in the corner of this wall where they're not seeing me. So that way later on I could like follow them and then just like they have like a hunting mentality to know like, okay, this thing does not see me. It's not aware of where I'm at. Okay, let me just stay up here and then, play the game and then, so that shows you that they have a mind like they like the hunt. They like the fear and everything like that. But you would look at it like, oh, this is a wild animal. Yeah. Like, no, it likes the hunt. It likes to hunt you down.
It's real crazy. Like you were saying that when you're saying that thought came to my mind, bro. I said one thing when you said that came to my mind is that demon Doja Cat, when she had that music video where she was all like a black demon in the corner somewhere with the tail and shit. These are actual apparitions that you're gonna be seeing. So don't think it's strange if you see a lion just charging at you, and you're like, it's like, yeah, nigga, I'm coming for you. And wait, did the lion just talk? Now you don't know which one is scarier, the fact that it's talking or the fact that it's charging at you. Because when you go back to Numbers, the Lord did that. Balaam was lighting that ass up. But the Lord opened up his the mouth of his ass, right? His ass's mouth, and it was basically talking to him. Right? That ass was talking back to him, pause. But it shows you that the Lord can do that. Yeah, you got it.
Wisdom of Solomon 11 and 18 in the GNTD. You could have created new and terrible animals that could breathe fire or roar and send out clouds of smoke or shoot out fearful sparks from their eyes. Damn, laser beam eyes. There's a damn Xeno lion pull up on your ass, man. It's some new shit that you never heard of before. A giant ogre. Yeah. Again, science fiction is going to become a reality. And things that people formerly thought was impossible. I mean, just to think that there's a creature called Leviathan that is that gigantic, to have a creature that can actually survive and be that big. Imagine the heart that's inside of his chest, how strong it has to be to pump all the blood or whatever type of blood it has, just to know the biology of that. And that's why in the book of Job, the Lord said, are you going to, chop him up and sell him in your markets? No, you're not going to do that with Leviathan. Leviathan going to use your ass as a toothpick, man. And y'all gonna learn the hard way, man. But reading on, it says,
he breaks through iron like straw.
Yeah. Iron is like straw, like how you break a twig. That's how Leviathan feels about an iron. It's true. He laughs at the shaking of a spear, man. Mm-hmm. Y'all gonna find out, man. And it's not just one Leviathan.
Yeah.
Everything the Lord said, be fruitful and multiply. Everything has offspring. Mm-hmm. A baby Leviathan could shake up and fuck this whole city up. Now imagine an actual adult.
Word.
A whelp bereaved of her, or a lion bereaved of her whelp. Yeah. And it reading on, it says, but this was not necessary. 19th verse. Mm-hmm. You could have made animals like these that would not have to attack these people to kill them, but could scare them to death just by looking at them. Just the sight of them alone. Because these are things that people would see in movies, and people are terrified of the movies. Right? People want to go see The Conjuring and different shit. Mm-hmm. People want to go people love a good spook in America. We got Halloween coming up. Everybody like to go see scary movies. You're going to be living in that movie soon. You're going to be living in the terrors of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua soon, man. You're going to be the one that you was telling in the movie, yo, come on, keep running, no trip. And your ass going to trip. Right at the time where your legs needed to work. They've been walking every day of your life. They've been walking, and then you never tripped. And that day, you skip, your shoelaces are untied, and boom, you a prey now. You a snack.
Daytime snack. Yeah, because people get offended when you tell them, like, yo, you gotta get in shape and whatnot. They'll get offended. The fuck you mean? What you trying to say? That's body shaming, and you gotta push more body positivity. When all hell breaks loose and you gotta actually run, it ain't gonna be about body positivity. If you slow, you slow. If you don't got if you slow, okay, that's one thing. If you don't got endurance, okay, that's one thing. But if you both, bro, I'm saying, like, you better hope the Lord is with you, because a lot of these people, man, they're gonna try to use their own might. You're gonna see it on their face, like they're really trying with effort, but they're not really moving anywhere, you know. And you might have the predators of whatever type they may be. They might not even go for the slow ones, because they're like, I'll just come back and get you anyway, you know. But let me trip up a couple of those over there, you know, and see how that's gonna go.
Hey, you know, here in Babylon, I think out of all the countries in the world, Babylon is like the most obese land in the world, right? You got people that actually can go up to 600 pounds. 600 pounds. That's 100 pounds more than half a ton. And you got people that actually weigh this much, 800 pounds. Like, why? You can't even walk. They gotta be moved around. You got this chick, that fat shorty, that was she's not even fat. Like, she goes above and beyond the scale of weighing somebody who considered fat. Like, she's up over. I mean, damn. And she went and jumped on the plane, and they said they had to rearrange the seating so she could fit in that plane, man. All because of that what you said before, that whole we can't body shame, and they've created this madness and psychosis of we have to accommodate for everyone's bullshit. Nigga, you can't accommodate for everyone. Everyone is unique. People got all kinds of different problems. If we're gonna be in a world where you gotta accommodate for everyone, you're not gonna be accommodating for anyone. You see what I'm saying? That's why the laws are created, so everyone has to live according to the laws. That governs everything and keeps everything in perpetual balance with nature. But when you got this, you know, we can't say nothing about gay people, or we can't say nothing about fat people, or we can't say nothing about skinny people, we can't say nothing about this, and it's like, yo, what's going on, man? And that's why you have what you have now, where people self-destruct and promote it like it's some form of liberation. Like, it's the stupidest thing ever. But that's what you get when you're in the land of confusion. And that's why everything, when it's all said and done, you look at it like from a righteous point of view, you be like, yeah, the Lord gonna have to torch this place up, because there's nothing good that's gonna come out of that land that we could just say, oh, we're gonna take some of this stuff here and take it to the kingdom. Literally, once the elect are beamed up, everything else is gone. Everything else is good for nothing, basically. Okay? That's why the book of Malachi says the Lord is going to leave them neither root nor branch. He doesn't have a need to keep anything alive here in America. The trees, the animals, the water, the plants, the people, the infrastructure, everything gotta go. Okay? Because you got the system that produces the madness, and then the madness that goes back to the system to keep the system going. It gotta go. Everything gotta go. All right, but I just wanted to add that. You got it, bro.
Yeah, it's a cycle of pollution and death. All right, go ahead.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 7 and 24, and it reads, "Wherefore I will bring the worst of the heathen, and they shall possess their houses. I will also make the pomp of the strong to cease, and their holy places shall be defiled."
Yeah, and in this time, the worst of the heathen is Esau Edom, because he has no mercy, no compassion, you know, none of that. He's just like a cold-hearted beast, and the Lord is going to put a spirit of judgment upon him from the higher ups on down to make these decrees that are just straight like inhumane. Now, I just saw a post about the governor of Maryland, something more, I think Westmore or something, said that he basically is you know, he's basically caving in, you know, and open to letting Trump come in there and help bring that crime down. All right. Meanwhile, you got the Chicago guy, forgot his name, but he basically I think they said he's either signing or is going to sign a some decree that is going to go against like the you know, the immigration agenda that Trump is pushing. So that's what you have. You have division in some parts, and then you have other parts that are just like, yo, come on in, you know, come fix up this thing. And when they do that, there's going to be a lot of friction. There's going to be a lot of chaos that eventually is going to come out of it, and you'll see. Go ahead. And the Lord is the one bringing all that, by the way.
Destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace.
Yeah. See, destruction comes, and they're going to seek peace. But we've been telling you about the peace that you could seek it now. Okay? But they didn't want to hear it. So, and the Lord sent us out here 1 Corinthians 4:9, the Lord sent us out here last, right before the destruction, to come and give you that last chance. It's a sign of the Lord having mercy upon you. But you pretty much just disrespected the Lord. You say, yo, take that and put it somewhere because we don't, quite frankly, care about it. And the way they're doing that is by how they treat the messengers of the Lord. Oh, yeah, we don't care about that. In fact, we don't care about it so much. We're going to let you know visually by talking shit against it openly. So once the Lord is like, okay, that's fine. It wasn't really here for you anyway. It was just here to mark you. But I already got those that I needed. And now, let's go. At that point is when the calamities are going to unfold. And then they're going to seek the truth. They're going to seek answers. That's when destruction is going to come and they're going to seek peace. Go ahead.
And they shall seek peace, and there shall be none.
And the Lord is going to tell them, I already gave you peace. You didn't want it. You work on my time. I don't work on yours. Who the hell do you think you are? When I offer you peace, which I didn't even have to, but I offered you peace, a place of repentance was open onto you, but you knew it not. You said no. You despised it. But now that the destruction is coming, now you want peace. It doesn't work that way. It's like you in jail. You trying to tell the jail what time to bring you food. You know what I'm saying? They tell you, all right, it's I don't know, 6 a.m. Come get, no. Hold on. No. Calm down. I don't eat my breakfast till 8 a.m. So, fix it up. And matter of fact, I don't want that. Turn that into fried eggs and put some green beans next to it. You do that shit, you ain't eating. All right? You're not eating. So that's how the Lord works. You don't work on, the Lord doesn't work on your time, you work on his. When he says it's time to repent, it's time to repent. And when he says it's time for judgment, guess what? It's time for judgment. Go ahead.
Mischief shall come upon mischief.
Mischief shall come upon mischief. What does that mean? As bad things are happening, more bad things are happening on top of that. Okay? That's what that means. Just like that saying, can it get any worse than this? I always wondered why they asked that. Bad things are happening. Oh, can it get any worse than this? Then the answer is yes. Boom, and then it gets worse. So that's what's going to happen. You're driving and all of a sudden you're having a bad day, then your car breaks down. Then the car breaks down and you're trying to get out and go find help, then it starts raining. Then the rain turns to hail. Now you got to go get back in the car. Now the car's on fire. So you can't stay in the car, you can't be outside. Now you're trying to hide under a tree somewhere and then there's like freaking bugs and shit all over the place. It's just going to be worse. Go ahead.
A rumor shall be upon rumor.
Yeah, because you're going to, especially in today's day and age with the internet, with cell phones, with social media, words, yo, this is happening over here. Oh, shit, yo, you heard what's going on over here? Yo, they said that they wilding out over here and this over here. Yo, I thought they had DC under control. Yeah, bro, but then people started wilding out and shit. You're just going to be hearing, yo, what happened?
Breaking news.
Yeah, there you go, breaking news. Yo, they're saying over here they got a power outage. Oh, this East Coast has got hit with this. These people don't have food. These people don't have water. They say troops are starving people. Oh, they are assaulting women over here. Oh my God, it's just bad news after bad news after bad news. God,
Then shall they seek a vision of the prophet.
see, then they're gonna seek a vision of the prophet. They're not going. If you're not of the elect, you're not going to seek a vision of the prophet when everything is all good, because you're busy with the world. But when there's destruction, mischief upon mischief, rumor upon rumor, then you're going to go seek a vision of the prophet.
Like when 9/11 happened, they said that internet searches on the Bible went up like 1,000% or something, probably even more than that. Some crazy number. Who has the true understanding of the Bible? The pastor's not going to be, I don't know what to tell you.
All right.
I don't know what's going on, but it's crazy, But did you pay your tithes? We gonna the true testimony is here through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. We're blessed beyond comprehension, brothers, to have this truth, and it's we know it now, and it's going to be even more manifest when the darkness comes and we are the only light that's left.
Right. And that, like the brother said, man, that's a real, like what he's saying is very real. Okay, that's going to be very, very real when shit really hits the fan. Like the way you feel now is not how you're going to feel back then. Your emotions, your feelings, your adrenaline, like all these things are going to be kicking in at that time, and you're going to actually feel like, yo, like a I don't even know how to describe it, like a weirdness of like, yo, shit, like I'm I'm in the midst of chaos and death right now, but like I'm good. Like the Lord is preserving me. But I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm the only one out of all these people that is actually good right now. This shit feels weird. Go ahead, Aaron. I saw you. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you know, like this shit feels weird. Like, yo, there's a famine, but I'm eating. It just feels weird because it's like, yo, impossible things are happening by the Lord for me. I'm seeing the Lord's hand working in real time. You know, here it is. I was about to, you know, say it was about to happen, and then I close my eyes, open my eyes, I'm in a different location. You just got teleported. And you're just looking up like, yo, you know, or you lost, you don't know what's going on. You praying. See, in that time, that's why it says, then shall they be known who are my chosen, because in that time, the Lord is going to act immediately. Okay? You're lost, you're praying, and all of a sudden you just see a flashing on the floor. You see a flashing, you look up, and there's a chariot right above you, just flashing, flashing, flashing. And then it starts moving and flashing, flashing. So you just follow it. And it's like following a GPS. So you're just following, like the men in the east that followed the chariot to Yahushua. The chariot just leads you right to some building or somewhere, and it flashes on the door, and then you go up in there, and then boom, everything you need is over there. Or maybe you might find brothers over there, or it might lead you to you know, somewhere.
Think about the Exodus. You had wicked Israelites that had to die and wander in the wilderness for 40 years, and the Lord was still blessing them with miracles, man. Sending quail, sending manna from heaven, splitting the rock for the water to come out. I think it's the rock of Horeb, right?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Could be wrong.
you know, if I'm
I think
mistaken.
it was Mirabah.
Mirabah. Yeah, the waters of strife, right? And that's where you had all these miracles happen, and this is for wicked jakes, man. Okay, now how much more do you think the Lord is? This is the end. All right, this is the end of heathen rulership. You know, it's like the Super Bowl. You know, when they do the Super Bowl, then the next year they got to do a bigger show to outdo the last one.
Right.
So the Lord, and that's just some worldly bullshit. We're talking about the Heavenly Father Super Bowl. All right, his second Passover. So for you out there that maybe, you know, you may be having your doubts and whatnot, trust in the Lord, man. Constantly remind yourself and have that mantra in your mind that I know I'm going through this, but I'm gonna trust in how about Shem Shah. Lord, I trust in you. You know, and you watch, the more you trust and the more faith you have, you're gonna see miracles manifest, man. Even before Jacob's trouble, and especially in the time of Jacob's trouble, he's gonna be showing us he's with us, man, in so many different ways. You know, especially because this is in this time, it's all about the elect. The wicked of our people are not gonna make it. So you think the Lord, he blessed them in the wilderness and did certain things for them, but he's not going to do the same or greater for us in this time? You know, you gotta really think about it, meditate on it, man. That's logical, man. The spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna finish up in this next verse.
But the law shall perish from the priests and counsel from the ancients.
Yeah, so when you go to seek for that information, you ain't gonna find it. Okay? The people, the go-tos, the priests, the ancient, the elders, the ones that can give you answers, reprieve, help, you ain't gonna get it. You're not gonna get it. Go ahead.
The king shall mourn, and the prince shall be clothed with desolation.
And this time that represents these leaders. Okay, these people in these high positions, the Lord's gonna bring them all down. Because they people gonna run to them. Oh, yo, Nate, oh, yo, this guy, yo, you said you were a man of God. Yo, tell us, what do we do? What do we do? He's gonna be bugging out. You know, some of them, Lord's gonna hit them with something hard, and they just gonna be like, damn. You know, they may lose somebody close to them, and they just drop, they just lose everything. Their mind ain't working right no more. Go ahead.
And the hands of the people of the land shall be troubled. I will do unto them after their way, and according to their deserts will I judge them, and they shall know that I am the Lord.
Oh, so the Lord is going to bring judgment according to your iniquity, and there ain't going to be no escaping from it, because you got to pay back in full everything that you've done against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. All right, so that's the times that we in. You know, when the prophet stops speaking, you know, the judgment is going to commence, and at that point, hey, you on your own, buddy. So with that, we're going to close it out. Oh, willing, this is edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakak, Madash. Until next time, shalom.
Shalom Akim Wa to the elect. Yahweh Bashem El Shabrakatham. Shalom.